And up next is Molly Caron in conversation with Sid Chow Tan, longtime community television activist who has started many community television projects, and he's also the producer of Access Community Television.
Hello, I'm Molly Caron, and Sid Tan has been paying close attention at all the CRTC gatherings. As well, he has been a part of CACTUS, the Canadian Association of Community TV Users and Stations. He's here to give us an update and tell us what CACTUS is and what they're up to.
CACTUS is a national group. Access Community Television is one of its members, and what it does is it monitors the Canadian Radio, Television, Telecommunications Commission and what their rulings are according to broadcasters, and specifically community television. They were very instrumental in actually helping us get this show back on the air when Shaw took over the cable network in Metro Vancouver. They actually booted all the community-based shows off their network, and then we lobbied from 1997 to 2002, and we actually got this show back on. 2% of your cable bill, the basic cable rate, goes to support of community television. It's arguable whether that is public funds or subscriber funds, because the cable company remits it to the government and the government gives it back to them to perform community television. So 2% in Vancouver, in Metro Vancouver, that's estimated to be about $6 million a year. Across Canada, cable and satellite providers provide up to $130 million a year via this 2% levy.
Wow.
For community media. And I guess my big question is to Canadians out there, are you getting your money's worth? We're talking $130 million a year. That's not chicken feed anymore. That's really serious money. And it seems to me that very little of it hits the ground in terms of funding to producers that are doing programming. We do this programming, and we do this programming in Shaw Studio, and I must thank Shaw Studio for having us here. But in point of fact, we buy the pizza, we pay our own transportation costs. A lot of the equipment that we use is all our own equipment. So none of that money actually hits the ground to the community groups.
So how do you hold cable companies accountable?
Well, it seems that nobody has been able to hold cable companies accountable to any of this, because a Parliamentary Senate report in 2003 called the Lincoln Report said they were frustrated and dismayed by the way cable companies have kept records and that they can't seem to hold them accountable. We're talking about a parliamentary committee, but how I've held them accountable here in the Lower Mainland is that I've just said, look, community broadcasting is one of the 3 legislated elements of the broadcasting system, the Canadian broadcasting system. The others are, of course, public broadcasting, and almost everything else is private broadcasting. This is the only little bit the community gets to tell its stories. I think that cable providers in the Lower Mainland, that would be TELUS and Novus and Shaw, have not been doing as good a job as they can, and more importantly, they're using the cable channel, which is a public trust, to promote their own products in their own way, because they have been given the management and administration of the cable channel. And we think that it's time for the community to have a heck of a lot more input in how the cable community channel, a public trust, is run.
Okay, currently in Canada, there's a class action lawsuit in Quebec with VIDEOTRON, the cable provider in Montreal. What's happening with that?
Well, a group called ICTV, not the same ICTV in Vancouver, but in Montreal, has gotten a lawyer together, and they are doing a class action lawsuit against VIDEOTRON for non-performance. That is, VIDEOTRON has been taking that 2% of the basic cable, but they haven't been performing. And they're taking VIDEOTRON to task before a court of law, saying there's a contract here being broken, you're not performing, you're taking the money and you're not performing. And as it turned out, the CRTC has agreed with that and has given VIDEOTRON a year to correct it. And so they're always going to get that chance to kind of correct it. But it's interesting that it took the threat and perhaps they may follow through on the class action lawsuit to actually wake them up. And I think similar things are needed.
And there's a convergence happening. There's a what is it called?
It's the Community Media Convergence that's happening in Ottawa at Carleton University, November 22nd to the 24th. And it's a lot of community media practitioners, and particularly community television practitioners, are going to be there, and they're going to talk about the future of community media. We're going to give the CRTC some ideas of what we have. And first and foremost to that is that we want some of this $130 million to go directly to the community, directly to community-based groups that are going to set up multi-platform distributors through the internet.
And Sid, it's not just dollars, it's eyeballs, because really the platform of television and as well the internet are the people and the audience that we are trying to communicate with. So there's other ways for people to get involved and use media. Outside of the cable station, they can go to the public library and use these spots to take advantage of media. Tell us how they can do that.
Well, it's interesting that you would mention the public library, because the Vancouver Public Library has its recent Inspiration Lab. This is an idea that was fostered a long time ago when cable companies took the community out of community television, and we thought that public libraries are a public institution, community centers are a public institution, and we are trying to get media happening in those places.
And media continues to happen at the Carnegie Center, and this is where we want to leave our interview with telling people that they can get involved with Carnegie Television as well.
That is correct. And Carnegie Television is a good example of just taking it to the ground. People, places, news and views of the residents of the downtown east side.
Thank you, Sid Tan, for defending community television and becoming the big player that you are. For Access TV, I'm Molly Caron, telling the truth because I know you can handle it.